Hi everyone, it's Boozy Bakers, it's Michelle and my mum Karen, and we're making hot cross buns today. I'm looking forward to this because it's Easter.
Bit of a challenge.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Bit different today.
We are. So Mr. Boozy Bakers, who's behind the camera, has made us some grapefruit mimosas today, because apparently that's what goes with hot cross buns.
It's a new one on me, but I would have thought a cup of tea, but hey. We are Boozy Bakers.
Yeah, I quite like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So last week we had a real international audience,
We did.
like never before.
Crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know if we still have kept that international audience or whether we're like firmly back in the UK this week. So wherever you're from, it's lovely to hear where. But it's great to have you with us. I know that we had some people from other countries that hadn't heard of hot cross buns before.
Yeah.
So whereas a lot of us Brits, you know, hot cross buns appear in every single supermarket, and the variety of flavours has changed a lot. So we're going for a more traditional, got a few little bits here, but we're going for quite a traditional hot cross bun. If you don't like mixed fruit though, and that's preventing you from having a go, just use chocolate, just fudge pieces, chocolate pieces, you can do all of that.
Yeah, you can even do them plain.
You could.
Gwen's asking, can you use a mixer for kneading?
Yeah, you can. So this, we're going to go through bit by bit for the hot cross buns. If you're new to us and you haven't joined us before, we will do things stage by stage. Shall we get going?
Yeah.
Okay, so one more thing, there's so many stars coming through, it's crazy. Thank you very much to everyone.
It makes such a difference to us. We love holding these workshops, but they do take time to put together, and it's so lovely of you all to donate like that. So really thank you very much.
It's appreciated.
It does, thank you.
It does.
Right, so we put on the ingredients list to have 300 ml of warm milk. So this is already warm in this jug. And we are going to use, so on my list I put 75 grams of caster sugar. We're not using it all right now. I just want a pinch, a teaspoon to put into the milk.
Okay.
Already asked a question about the apple. Can they use apple sauce if they don't have an apple available?
Yeah, and actually you don't need to put apple in it if you don't want to as well. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
So I've got a teaspoon of sugar that I'm adding. And I've got 10 grams of dried yeast. Now you can use, if you've got a 7-gram sachet, that's one of those little sachets that you get, that will be fine. Just use one, but you want to tip your yeast in to the milk and the teaspoon of sugar and give it a mix. The reason we've used just that teaspoon of sugar and the warm milk is to activate that yeast. Now if you have a fast action yeast or anything, it doesn't matter. You can do the same thing for any kind of yeast and do this.
Two questions. Lee's asked, can we use usual sugar?
Yes, you can.
And with the milk, does it have to be thin skim?
Any kind of milk's fine.
But the importance is the temperature.
Yeah.
Don't be too cold and don't be too hot.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So if you're too hot, you'll kill the yeast. And if you're too cold, it won't activate it. So just a nice warm temperature.
I always think like a baby's bath.
Yeah, or body temperature, something like that.
Is that
about too hot?
That's a bit hotter, but that's fine. That's
just
fine.
something comfortable.
Yeah.
So you just stir that in, and we're going to leave that to activate.
How much sugar went in there, please?
Just a teaspoon.
How much fresh yeast is the equivalent?
So with fresh yeast, to be honest, 10 grams will be fine. Just use that.
And how much milk do we need to use?
So the milk quantity is 300 millilitres. So there's not much activity happening in there, but it's just allowing that yeast just to activate. It won't do anything huge. It's not going to be like a cauldron of bubbles or anything.
It'd be good if it was.
It would be dramatic, wouldn't it?
It'd be great.
Do you stir the yeast into the milk?
Yeah, just give it a quick stir. It's not going to dissolve. It will sit on the top.
Do you stir it at any point from now on?
No, I'm just going to leave it.
Okay.
So that's all you need to do with the yeast at this point.
Oh, that was easy.
It was.
Very nice.
Right, so you're going to want 500 grams of bread flour, which is also known as strong flour.
And does it have to be white?
Good question.
Sorry.
No, I think I think if you want to do any wholemeal or anything, I would probably go for a half and half, just for texture.
Just to make it heavy.
It can make them quite heavy.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do that, I would stick with a half and half.
Just in case somebody's
good question. So 500 grams of that bread flour in there, or strong flour, however you've bought it. Then you want to add a teaspoon of salt.
Sarah's asked, how long will these keep?
Right, so hot cross buns are best eaten.
10 minutes?
They're best eaten, I think, on the day, and the day after they're fine too.
Yeah.
But you can toast these.
Oh yes, I did that last time.
Yeah, so you can keep them for a few days and you can toast them. When they start to feel a bit drier, you can toast them. I haven't released it yet, but I'm also going to give you another free, lovely little video to follow, which is what to do with leftover hot cross buns and to make them into a beautiful bread and butter pudding, which is a lovely dessert to have. Right. So that's 500 grams of bread flour and a teaspoon of salt. I'm then going to add the remainder of my sugar. So if you remember on the ingredients list we said 75 grams. I've taken a teaspoon out just to add to my milk mixture. So I'm just tipping the rest in. There we go. And then, so the other dry ingredients we've got is the mixed spice. So you can just use the cinnamon, or you can make your own version. Chuck a bit of
cinnamon,
ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon. It's all good. But I'm just going for a nice
lazy option
of mixed spice, and I've got 2 good size.
But don't use allspice. That's completely different.
Yes, we had someone do that before,
yes,
didn't we?
we did. So don't
mixed
use
spice.
It's mixed spice.
Then Alison asked, what are you supping today?
Oh, we are drinking grapefruit, if I could say it.
You can't still say it.
Mimosas that Mr. Boozy Baker has made for us. I've never heard of them before, but they are very refreshing. I think for breakfast with smoked salmon and scrambled egg.
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Yeah, so tomorrow, hint.
Yeah, I quite fancy that.
Yeah, I do.
So I'm just mixing.
Bubbles left.
I'm mixing the dry mix now. So that is the 500 grams of bread flour, the teaspoon of salt, the 75 grams minus the teaspoon of sugar, and the 2 teaspoons of mixed spice.
Okay. And the mixed spice smells like Christmas.
Oh, it smells so good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why is it though hot cross buns don't smell like Christmas?
Because that's Easter.
Obviously.
Yes.
Right, so to this mix, we're going to add 50 grams of melted butter. So we've melted this earlier. It won't be particularly warm now. If you have got warmer one, don't worry. But you want to add your melted butter. I'm actually going to use this again. I know you're trying to be handy, and then I'm just taking it away from you.
Control freak.
I am. And then 1 egg. I'm just going to use the same ramekin just to put the egg in, because I'd like to beat it before I put it in.
Okay.
Just because I'm adding it to the flour mix, I don't want it to all get stuck.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving it a mix up.
Is that a beat or a whisk?
That's probably a bit of a whisk, isn't it? But I just wanted to mix up that egg yolk and egg white before I put it in. So I'm adding that. So we've put in 50 grams of melted butter into this flour mix, and then I've put 1 egg. So I beat it a little bit, or whisked it, and put that in. Now I'm going to add the milk mix. So all the foamy yeast that's on top, all of that is going in along with the milk.
I love that smell.
So what I want to do now is just give that a light mix. I don't want to combine this into a dough yet. So if you're using a machine, just pulse it almost, because we still need to add some of the fruit. But I just want to combine a bit of it and just kind of a loose dough at the moment. Now, I'll show you what mine looks like, because I'm not giving it too much of a mix up. There you go, can they see that? To that, we're going to add the mixed fruit. So I've got 130 grams of mixed fruit.
So that's just completely dry, it's never been
No,
soaked.
I haven't done anything to that. I've not soaked it or anything. I'm very lazy, very, very lazy. And then we've got orange zest. So I've just got a kind of thin grater. I've not gone for a zester, I've just gone for thin grater, but either's fine.
Yep.
So we can put that in. Do you fancy doing that? Because I'm not really much to do, am I? The apple. You don't have to add an apple, but I like it for the flavour. I like the moistness it gives. So I'm just using an eating apple, and I'm just going to peel that. I appreciate you do not have 4 hands, and this is going to take you a bit longer.
Do they not? Do you not have a commie chef?
They might have a commie chef with them.
Yeah.
Lou's asked, can we put chocolate in now?
Yeah. So anything you're using as a filling, so as a flavour, you can add in now.
That's the dry ingredients, isn't it? So
Bella said, can she use lemon zest? She's got to buy the orange.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fudge pieces, chocolate.
Yeah.
Apricot bits.
I made some. The kids don't like mixed fruit, so I made some in the week, and I just emptied the cupboards of like leftover bits of sweeties, and I found about 6 chunks of fudge. So I just roughly chopped them, and then I added in a handful of chocolate chips, and they really liked it.
Is that the one that we had the pudding with?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good.
How much dried fruit went in, please?
It's 130 grams of mixed fruit. Now the apple, I don't want to do big pieces in this. I want it quite fine. So I'm just going to roughly chop it at the moment. I'm doing slices.
Nails this, isn't it?
There we go.
Francis is using terry choc orange bits.
Oh, like you're thinking.
Tony said, could you grate the apple?
Yeah, you could grate the apple. That's a wonderful idea, actually. Should have thought of that myself.
And Peter's saying, what's the best apples to use?
Oh, you're talking to the woman that just uses whatever in the fruit bowl. I would just use a small eating apple. Just whatever you've got.
Isn't that a Braeburn that we've got there?
I think it might be a Braeburn.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of chopping this randomly, very rustically, just to make sure that I've got small bits. So I'm going to add my rustically chopped apple. As you can see, it's like, really just chopped like you...
Professionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not.
Susan's using gluten-free bread flour. Please show us how that comes out. We'd love to see that.
Yes.
And there's a few people that are using gluten-free bread flour today, so that's good. It's nice that you've got alternatives.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the 130 mixed fruit has gone into that, the zest of an orange and a chopped eating apple. So the ingredients left is a couple of tablespoons of plain flour and the honey, and both of those are required after they've proved, and I will go through those with you, so don't worry. Once you have all your mixture together that we've just put in, you need to start mixing. If you have a machine, you are in Wonderland. You can switch that machine on and kick back and laugh at us all trying to do this by hand.
Get yourself another mimosa.
Get yourself another mimosa. If, like me, you're doing it by hand, I will warn you now, it is quite a wet mix to begin with. I keep this in the bowl for longer. There's no way I'm putting this on my side yet. It's too wet. So I'm going to keep folding it with my wooden spoon. I'm not even going to get my fingers in there yet. And I just...
So Michelle's bringing it in from the edges and popping it. It's almost like she's making concrete or something.
So if I show you, I'm bringing my spoon in and folding it over and just really kind of trying to beat it together a bit and fold it and move it around. And I want the bread flour to really start getting elasticated and kind of absorb into itself and start kind of working together rather than against me. Yep. I may have, I will put some extra flour in when I get a bit further in, but at the moment I know it's a bit of a thing on your muscles, it's a bit of hard work.
We've always said, isn't it, it's a bit of a workout for a Boosie Baker workshop.
Yeah.
Victoria's saying dough's a bit tough, is more milk needed?
Oh.
If it's tough, mine's quite wet, but it's hard work. My muscles are getting a workout. So if you mean tough, as in it's hard to move around, it's not a cake batter. I'll bring it out and show you. It's all really quite stuck together. It's really, it is a dough. So if that's what you've got, that's perfect. If it's dry looking and it's not particularly wet, then you can add a bit more milk.
If they're using a mix machine, how long should they mix it for?
So I go for about 7 minutes, something like that. Stick it on. Maybe 5 minutes. You don't need too long.
No. You'll kind of know, won't you, that it's all combined.
Yeah, and be aware that you might need to add a bit more flour. I like to try and really mix it because you've got all the fruit content in it. I like to really mix it first, and then when it's had a bit of time, I will start adding flour. Then my hands
get the consistency,
and then we're going to bring it out onto the worktop and give it its final knead.
Yeah.
But I just know that if I brought this out right this second, it's just going to slap onto the worktop and never come off like a glue.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to work with it a bit in the bowl, bear with it, it is tough, and then I will put some more flour into it and bring it, and I can feel it already, I can feel it kind of stretching back a bit.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh okay, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. So
but you'll feel it yourself, it starts becoming more of a ball.
Yeah, it's very loose ball.
Yeah, show them now, because I think you can see a noticeable difference now.
So if you can see, I'm just working with it to create a bit more of a dough ball. Is everyone doing all right?
Yeah. Got any thumbs up of it going okay? Or they're all too quiet and shattered?
Oh, they are quiet.
They are
really quiet.
Are you still there?
Right. Okay.
There they come. There's the thumbs up.
I'm just scraping down my spoon with a knife, and then I am going to sprinkle some. It is going to get messy. There's no denying it. My hand is going to get covered in dough, but I'm just going to sprinkle some bread flour over the top, and it's probably what I've used is about a good tablespoon of flour.
Nikki just asked, can we use our hands?
Yeah, I'm going to use my hand, and I'm just kind of trying to keep my hand vaguely covered in some flour so that I'm not going to get too caked, and I'm just tentatively using my fingers first to kind of do exactly what I was doing with the spoon. So I'll see if I can show you. I'm just bringing it together, folding it over each other, pressing it down. But you know, that's my fingers are gone. They're covered in dough now. Sorry, flinging it over at you.
Piece of apple.
Piece of apple, was it?
Yep.
Didn't want to be in there.
No.
Had other ideas.
Eric's just asked, does it need extra flour? So you
are going to need some extra flour, but what I would say is be really careful that you don't, especially when we go onto the worktop, that you don't put so much flour that you're just incorporating masses of flour into the dough.
Yeah.
We want to keep it quite soft.
Yeah.
So
just be prepared to get messy.
You do. So I'm really aware that the microphone is resting on the worktop, and I could be making a right racket for you guys.
What flour should they use for that?
Same.
I would use bread flour, just keep it the same. If you're running out of bread flour, just use a plain flour. So, yeah.
I wouldn't have thought our new bowls would have been big enough, but obviously it is.
Yeah,
I'm quite happy with our bowls.
I do like knowing my bowl. I like the fact that I can show what we're doing from the side.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you who are new, we occasionally buy some new equipment because we realise that actually to have something see-through rather than the bowls we had before is good.
So you can see my hands are pretty covered. I haven't got into my palm yet because I know it's too wet. So I'm just adding about another tablespoon of flour and just start incorporating that. Sorry, I told you I'm just going to hammer it down on the worktop, aren't I? And I can feel this
really
coming away from the sides of the bowls now. Look, I'm getting a right mess. It's started to really stick together. I don't know if you can see that in my bowl. Can they see that all right?
Yep.
So here we go. Hopefully you can see my worktop enough. I'm going to spread that out so it's just a thin amount. I've got more flour at the side. I can bring it in, but I'd rather try not to let my dough sit in too much flour. Just take out any other bits. There we go. Try and rescue my hands a little bit, but there's very little point in trying too hard because you know your fingers back in it. But I'm now going to keep folding this over, press down, fold the dough over, and keep working it. Don't worry if it sticks a little bit, and just keep working that until you've got a bit more of a ball of dough. Those of you with the mixers, I hope you're enjoying watching us all.
Yeah, the ones with the mixers will end up creating this ball inside the mixer, and their hands will be perfectly clean, and they'll be able to have a drink.
So, but you can see it's really coming together. So when I get to this point, I'm actually going to start pulling it off my fingers now, because I feel a bit more confident it's not going to go back onto them so much.
Interestingly, you work mostly with your right hand and you're just guiding with your left.
Yeah, you can get both involved. I think because it's a sticky mix as well, I tend to just work with one, so I've got another one to be able to reach for other things.
Yeah.
I think everyone has their different styles.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really go for both, but...
Yeah, I tend to be a... Yeah.
So
think of somebody you don't like and...
Therapeutic. Stressful.
Yeah.
So there we go, that's starting to look quite good. So we just need to do this for a while, and I'm really sorry if you're thinking, really, my arms? But it's get someone else to do it for you for a bit if you can. We want it to have as much of that kind of elasticity and gluten kind of working as much as possible, so that we get the best results from our hot cross buns. How are we getting on? Any comments, or are you all covered in dough?
And shattered. Might need a bit more.
Bit more flour before it sticks too much.
Yeah.
Jan's saying, if using a machine, do you continue in the mixer or take it out and knead it by hand now?
No, you can keep this in the machine if you're using a machine. Just make sure that if it's not coming together, that you add a bit of flour to it.
And we've been asked, can you make a video on sausage rolls, which we have.
We have. Have I put that onto?
Yes, yeah.
I have put it onto YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Go to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And while you're there, subscribe, please.
Yeah, the YouTube channel, we've put on sausage rolls with a rough pastry, which doesn't take too long, so it's really good.
It was really nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're very tasty actually, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's over 50 videos we've got on there now. Yeah, there's lots, so do go and check that out. So I'm getting all off the shoulder. There we go.
Candy's saying her husband assures her there will be no leftover buns to make a bun and butter pudding.
You're just going to have to make it again.
Yeah.
So, right, that's the kind of size dough you're looking for. So we've been working with that. It's still soft. It's still vaguely sticky if I stick my fingers in, but it's not sticking to me anymore. And I'll take that. That's exactly what I want.
Nikki's saying it's amazing, the sausage roll recipe.
Good.
They've had it twice.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Right, so very carefully, so I don't damage my worktop, we want to cut this into 12 pieces. The way do you want me to use?
Yes.
You want to use a board?
Just a board.
Okay, we'll get the chopping board back.
Yeah, it does worry me.
Okay, so we'll put this back on the board. Mine just needs to put a bit of flour so it doesn't stick to it. Right, so you want to cut this into 12 pieces. The way I would do it is cut it in half.
It's a bit tricky, isn't it?
Well, I've weighed it out for them. So if you want to get really technical, you're looking for around 95 grams per ball. I know. I know. It's very unlike me. But I would then go half again. So we've now got quarters. Right. And then reshape them a bit so they're all a bit even, and cut them into thirds, and that's your 12.
Can you just please show how sticky the dough is now?
Yeah. So you can see I can press onto it, and you can't see so much because of my doughy hands, but it's not. You've got clean hands.
Ish.
Yeah, yours are just floured. So if you go up to the camera and show them, it's not really.
I've got long arms like you.
It's not sticking to Mum's hands.
But I can feel the stickiness of it.
Yeah, it's like putty, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It feels like it would stick.
Yeah, but it comes away.
Yeah.
So I've shaped that so it's a bit more of a log, if you like. And I'm going to cut that into 3. But if you want to be absolutely...
I could cope with this.
If you want to be absolutely exact, they will be about 95 grams each. So we'll come back to them. I'm just trying to get them out of the way at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm going to go another one. And another one.
Well, this is not exact at all, is it? No, but that's fine.
What about it not being exact? You don't like it? You can see that feels bigger than that. So if you go, oh, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Just like that. So there you go.
For those of you who've watched us before, I do quite like things to be exact. Don't
you know what? Mum was away last week. Well, you weren't away. You weren't feeling so good. So we said, you know what? Why don't you just chill and we'll do it. But people missed your tape measure, Mum, because you normally have a tape measure with you.
I do. I couldn't find my tape measure quickly, so...
You got a ruler because you panicked.
That's my little quirk.
No, I haven't. It's fine. Just having a moment to myself, thinking, I made too many, but I haven't.
It was funny the other day, she was doing an order and she was like, this does not make sense, I meant to have a box of 8 and a box of 6 and a box of 4.
I made too many.
And she was trying to put her on this box. She, well, I should have 2 holes left. I'm like, well, yeah, but you've made too many.
It's like, it's not going to add up, Michelle, because you baked too many cakes.
So whoever the order was for, somebody
they got more.
Yeah, they did. The bonus box.
Right. So I've got 12 balls of dough in front of me. Your balls of dough, if I show you this one, can you see that, or is it in focus?
Yeah, that's fine.
You can see that it's got some lumps and bumps, and you can see the folds where the dough's been pushed around. So all I want to do is lightly knead it and roll it in my hands, and I'm looking for an area where it is smooth, and that is going to be my top. So if the bottom has a fold, I'm not so worried about that, but I want my top to be smooth. And then I'm going to put it on my tray, which I've lined with some parchment paper. I'm going to press it down ever so slightly, but not too much. And I'm going to do 3 by 4. And you want a little gap between all of them, but they're going to grow. And then what I like is that they all attach to each other a bit.
And then you tear them.
Yeah.
That's great.
I don't know if you noticed, I put a bit of flour down. My hands were getting ever so slightly sticky. So just so I can smooth them out, I've just coated my hands in just a little bit of flour, because it's not much at all. But I just needed to dry my hands out a bit.
Yeah. Does the heat make any difference?
I think it's where they're starting to prove.
Yeah, and also you've got the juices of the
You've got the apple, yeah. So it's just ever so slightly, what we were saying earlier about it, like being like putty but not sticking to your hands. Occasionally I'm finding that it wants to, so I'm just wanting my hands to be dry.
So when it's proving, I suppose it's getting those like air bubbles going in it.
Yeah, so these are going to grow. So when we say proving, we're going to leave them with either a damp tea towel over them, or a bit of oiled cling film, and I'd oil the cling film so it doesn't stick to the top of your buns.
I think a damp tea towel works really well.
Yeah.
Some of you might have fancy microwaves or ovens that have got proving facility.
So what I'm going to do is, once we've got these dough balls done, I'm going to bring the ones out that I made earlier so I can show you what we do next. Because the bits that's missing at the moment is the cross. And I did try to put the crosses on at this stage, but it's a wet mix. And the minute you put that on, you can't then put something over the top of it.
Yeah.
So that was a no-go. So I thought what we'll do is we'll get you all to the stage that you have a tray of hot cross buns, and then
show you the rest.
You can have a cup of tea and I'll show you the rest.
How long do you prove for?
So it will depend how hot your kitchen is.
Yes.
If you're leaving them on the side in the kitchen, don't have any windows or doors open because you want some warmth.
Yeah.
So I would cover these. In fact, I'll do it now. There we go, how are we doing for time? Good. I would cover these for about an hour, and it's really at a point where they've grown. They don't need to be absolutely touching each other, but they do need to have grown.
What kind of, when you say grown, so that they're almost touching one another and...
Yeah, you might find that they are touching each other.
That's all right too.
Yeah, if they're really touching each other, you're going to have to really break them apart.
Yeah.
But just lightly touching each other is fine, and then they will grow a bit more in the oven.
That's a good idea. Okay.
Well, yeah. So fry like's amazing. You can just pour a little bit of oil on.
Yeah. That makes
and
it
do
a
it
lot
like that.
easier though, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't grab, the cling film doesn't, I've said that and then it will, but it doesn't grab to each other as much. So I'm just going to lightly put that on. I don't want it to be, don't pull it, don't
cling film
don't
it.
absolutely cling film it, because then they can't rise. So just loosely cover it. You know, this can come off again. It's not, and the same with the tea towel. Just get a damp tea towel and just loosely put it over the
Drape
top.
it over. Actually, I used to, whenever I made bread or anything, I used to put it just in my airing cupboard.
Yeah, airing cupboards are good. Just a warm space, or just on the side in your kitchen, and leave them. Between the two, that's the difference. So you can see these have expanded, they're touching, but they've still got, you know, they've not become one sheet of dough.
Yeah.
We have still got spaces. You can see that they're individual ones.
Okay.
So that's what I would be looking for.
Okay, so that's like a doubling of size, really.
Yeah, and if they don't rise that much, don't worry. You can about that. They don't have to be quite as big. So what I've got is 2 dessert spoons of plain flour. That's all it is, just 2 dessert spoons of plain flour. And I'm going to add, let's go with 2 tablespoons of water, so 2 dessert spoons of water. So the same mix, 2 and 2, and give that a mix. I think I'll need more water, but I just want to...
That's how I used to make glue at school.
Yeah. So...
Now you've got a mess. Well, I did.
You did.
Yeah. I think if you're my age, you did.
Right, I'm going to add another 2.
I did teach you how to make glue like this.
You probably did.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give that a mix, and what I'm doing is making a paste. The mixture I've got is gloopy, but you can see it runs, but it is thick. I'm going to bring that closer. Can they see that it's falling, but it's gloopy? I'm now going to add this to a piping bag. Now, if you've got a reusable one, you're looking for a tiny little cut in, a nozzle with a tiny, what's the word?
Hole.
Because you're only going to put a light cross over these. Mr. Boozy Bacon has just given up on me now. If you don't have a piping bag, get a Ziploc bag and put it in, and then cut the corner of the bag. Right, so all I'm going to do is cut a little hole in the bottom of this.
Was it dessert spoons or tablespoons?
I use dessert spoons. It doesn't really matter as long as you use same quantities. But I don't need that much, so I've just used dessert spoons.
And Susan said people used to use the marzipan for the cross.
Yeah, you said this, didn't you?
That, yes, and Michelle looked at me completely nonplussed.
Well, you can use it,
yes.
but this is what I'm using. But
yes.
you can use marzipan if you prefer.
Yes.
So I just cut a little hole. Hopefully that's about right. And I'm going to this time go down, but I'm going to make sure I go round the curves. So I'm going to do it slowly, so that it actually sits on each one.
Yes.
So I'm going to go from
and
one
everybody
side.
See what she's doing.
1, 2, 3.
You make that look very, very easy.
I'll bring that to camera so they can see. Can they see that?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to go the same way on the other ones and go 1, 2, 3.
That's very professional.
Well, it's better than my I did the other day when I made individual crosses on each one. I thought, they just look not so uniform. And then I thought, oh yeah, why did I not just do it in lines? And then the other way we could play noughts and crosses, couldn't we?
We could.
2. I'm not going all the way down the sides either.
No, just on the
I'm just
top.
doing it on the tops.
Yeah.
You know what I could have done?
What?
I could have actually put the oven on, so I could have baked these.
Oh, think that.
Right, in terms of oven temperatures, I'm going to give them to you now. 220 for conventional, 200 for fan or gas mark 7. What you do, put these in, when you've got your crosses on, put them in and bake them for around 13 to 15 minutes.
Oh!
Yeah, I know, but you want them quite brown.
Okay.
We've eaten far too many hot cross buns that we've made, but we were comparing the colours and actually they look good with a bit of colour, so you do want them to be golden brown.
Okay.
And when you pick them up, they should feel, you should knock on the back of them, they should feel hollow.
Like bread.
Like bread. Well, it is a bread at the end of the day, but it is softer.
Okay.
So you're looking for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then once they're out and they're hot, leave them on the tray, and then you get the honey. You can use jams and other syrups. You could use marmalade, but you want it sieved because you want it thin.
Yeah.
I just find honey is quite a good one because it's already thin.
Yeah.
So what you do is once they're baked and you've got nice golden hot cross buns, get a pastry brush and just dip the honey in
So you
and
just
brush
glaze
them
them.
all and glaze them, and that absorbs. They're not too. They've got a slight stickiness, but nothing much, and that absorbs into the buns.
And actually, we had about 20 questions going, what's happened to the honey?
And I thought she'd forgotten it. I thought, you meant to put it on and then the crosses.
Look, these are going in now, so bear with me. Middle shelf if you can, otherwise whatever you have. Let me just put these on. Sorry, pausing. There we go.
And cookery books.
And the cookery books are available on Amazon. I have put the links on our website, which is www.boozybakers.co.uk. So you'll find the links above our online shop for the Amazon links for the books.
Yeah.
So I think
We've had loads and loads of thank yous, people saying, please go enjoy your Easter break, and they'll see us in a couple of weeks.
Just go.
All right, you've had your moment. So you can see the hot cross buns have come out and they look a bit dull at the moment. They look cooked, they look tasty.
They smell gorgeous.
But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip my brush into the honey and then glaze over the top.
Oh, wow.
So you can see that nice finish on them.
Hi, Pat.
There you go. So I'll do another one. Just do them one by one. And just add the glaze.
I'm surprised at how the cross has changed and sort of gone into it. Yeah,
it's
I'm
nice,
quite surprised
isn't it?
by that. Yeah, actually, when I said to you about doing it with the marzipan, I don't see the point in going to the expense of the marzipan.
No.
Because marzipan's not cheap, is it?
No, it's not. And I think you get a nice effect with them.
I do.
Well, these hot cross buns, they are darker in colour, and I think that's how they should be. I don't think they should be too light. That is all you need to do for your, and you can see the glistening on that. They just look so pretty.
Don't they?
What I would suggest is when they've got to a point that you can touch the tin and they're a little bit easier to handle, I would take them and put them on a rack. Just so that they don't end up sweating underneath where they still retain the heat. Enjoy your hot cross buns, and we'll see you after Easter.
Yep.
And go onto YouTube, I will put the link up, but go onto YouTube tomorrow onwards and there'll be a hot cross bun bread and butter pudding for you to have a go at as well. Alright then, thank you very much. Have a lovely Easter, guys. Bye.